Hello there, I'm Alicia Burrows and I'd like to welcome you to TrustFord's Leading Ladies First Ever podcast. This episode is about empowering and inspiring women both in and out of the automotive industry. Today, we'll be discussing about the realities of building a career and discussing what life is like for women in the industry. We'll also be talking about TrustFord's aim to improve its gender balance while filling at least 30% of key leadership positions with diverse women by 2030. I'm joined today by 5 inspiring and wonderful guests who are at various stages of their career within TrustFord. So, to my leading ladies, could you all introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about your background and job role, please?
Morning. Yes, I'm Michelle Hazeldine. I'm the after sales training and induction manager. So I've been doing that for about 2 years, and I've been in the motor industry for like 25 plus some more that I don't want to say. It's a long time.
Brilliant, lovely. And Claire?
Yeah, so I'm Claire Bennett. I have been an after sales manager for 5 years in August, and I started at TrustFord 7 years ago tomorrow. Started as a part-time service advisor, and this is the first time I've been in this industry. Well, I'll say first time, it's now been 7 years, so yeah.
And Jackie?
Hi, I'm Jackie Steele. I'm the accountant for the Gillingham CMA. I've worked in the company for 28 years. I first left college after doing a BTEC in business and finance. And my first interview was a job here as a trainee accountant, and I got the job, and I haven't looked back since.
So I'm Adrian, and I'm the Channel Islands accountant, and I have been in the motor trade for 16 years this year. Started off as a purchase ledger clerk and have worked my way up to the accountant level. And yeah, I absolutely love it.
Brilliant. And last but definitely not least, Dom?
Hi everybody, I'm Dominique Bassett, or Dom. I've been in the motor industry now since the mid-90s, so about 26 years. I'm a business system specialist, which basically means I work in the IT department and help out on the dealer management system, which we use.
Thanks for that, everyone. So I'd just like to start the podcast by having a bit of a discussion around TrustFord's efforts to improve gender balance. TrustFord has made a lot of changes recently, things like reviewing all of its job adverts and job descriptions to ensure they are gender neutral and tailored to all. We've supported and are a part of the government's Happy to Talk Flexible Working campaign. We've also created a Leading Ladies Support Network group. But what's particularly great about that group is a lot of the females have said their confidence has really grown since joining the Leading Ladies group. They've actually applied to our Future Leaders programme, which is just fantastic. So, ladies, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the changes that have been made so far.
I think they're really good. I mean, I started off in the motor trade probably like Dom in the 90s when, and mine was very much from a technician's point of view as well. And women or in a workshop, no, what? So to see, I know it's 20 odd years plus later, but to see what we're doing here, I think is absolutely brilliant. And what's amazing to hear is that actually, since starting the Leading Ladies, that it has given the confidence to people to go, do you know what? Yeah, imposter syndrome, what's that? Let's, move forward. I think the business is doing a brilliant job at this gender balancing.
Yeah, I think that the company is doing really well with it. I definitely think when we've started the Leading Ladies, and it's really good to see the support from the training side of things. With Mike Mosley and also Stuart Foster. I thought it was really good that both of those were on the first original call, along with Sharon as well, because I think that just shows that, how important it is for our company especially, that this is something that they really want to do and that we're working towards. And I think there's more people being inspired now to sort of move into management roles, especially sort of in more of the after sales, especially with this new mentoring as well. I'm male, so there's a lady in accounts, I think it is, and she's wanting to move through and back into after sales and into after sales management. So that's really good to see. So obviously what we're doing or what the company's doing is proving is showing that, women do want to do these roles. They just didn't have sort of like the confidence before to do it. And the Leading Ladies group, I agree, I think is definitely giving women, ladies more confidence.
100%, and I think you're right there. It did certainly had an impact when Stuart and Sharon had held that very first Leading Ladies at WebEx, and I think it was just, I'd definitely come off like, oh my god, I'm so motivated. It was brilliant. How do you feel about the changes, Adrian?
I think we're definitely going in the right direction. Obviously I'm a mum of two, so it's nice to know that the support is there now, where you can actually be a manager and get the support that you need from the company. So I definitely think we're moving in the right direction, and it's exciting. And I love our Leading Ladies group. It's amazing.
And what's your thoughts, Jackie?
I just think everything is so positive these days, and the able to talk to other women within the group, whatever level, from top to bottom, is great. The gender balance is going in the right direction, and it's just all really, really positive. And it's just great news that we can all share our own thoughts and feelings. And it's great to hear that other people are sometimes in the same boat that you are.
Yeah, so basically I echo everything that everyone said. It's a really, really nice way of connecting with other women across the group. And what's so good about it is the fact that it's of all levels. So you're not sort of like feeling intimidated because you've got somebody who's very senior. And it makes it so that everybody collectively can share their thoughts and views. And it's a really good way of other women helping other women and giving them that sort of like help and push up and everything. So it's a really positive environment.
It is, and through Leading Ladies, we've all connected, which is just brilliant. And we may not have done in normal work, day-to-day, work life. So it's just brilliant to be able to network with all of you and many other Leading Ladies we've got in the group. So I'm going to take you back in time a little bit. What did you want to do when you grew up? So for me, as embarrassing as this probably is, I just wanted to be the next Britney Spears, but I couldn't sing, so here I am. So what about you, Jackie?
Basically, my parents run a haulage firm, so and I loved going out on my dad's truck, just absolutely loved it. So I wanted to be a truck driver. I liked getting dirty and jumping up and down in the cab, and just loved it. And there wasn't any women drivers those days. You didn't see a women truck driver, and I think the inspiration for me came from a kids program, believe it or not, called Pigeon Street, and they had Clara, the long distance lorry driver, and she had blonde curly hair like me, and that was it. That's what I wanted to be. But my parents and people around me were like, no, women don't be truck drivers. So that dream went out the window, and then I thought, okay, I've got to be all nice and whatever else, I want to be an air stewardess. I wanted to travel the world. And here I am.
What about you, Michelle?
Well, when I was really little, I was absolutely fascinated with the stars. And so I wanted to be an astronaut or something to do with astronomy. And then when I was about, 10, something like that, my brother got his first car because he's a bit older than me. And I was absolutely fascinated by it. I was like, ooh, how does it work? How does it move? What are these things under the bonnet? And from that moment there, I knew I wanted to work with cars. And that was it. From the age of 11, I was going to be a technician and nothing was going to stop me.
I always wanted to be sort of like a businesswoman or lawyer. I did study law at college, but I don't know. I just didn't end up going down that path, and just got started off sort of like getting a job. And I always wanted to be in sort of management. So I'd say I'm in management. The difference is I just don't wear a suit every day. I thought it was going to be a bit more glamorous, but it's not.
There's nothing much glamorous in after sales, is the glam?
No. And I do try every day, and I'm like, right, today I'll, do the makeup, do the hair, which I've done today. It's just I've literally just come down for this call. So as soon as this is over, it'll be going straight back up again, because it'll be running around in the workshop with the techs on the front, like, and so yeah, it's good and it's different every single day. So I suppose I have got to do what I really wanted to do, which was the sort of like businesswoman, sort of manager role, just in a different way, just not suited up, seeing every single day.
And Adrian, what did you want to do when you were younger?
So I'm from South Africa originally, so I wanted to do anything with the sea, basically. I absolutely love the sea. So I wanted to be a marine biologist, but you know what parents are like, and that's what I've decided, you know, school careers day, that's it, that's what I'm doing. And then the reality hit that there's no jobs in it, that you have to be really lucky, you know, it's loads of studying. So I didn't end up going that way. I ended up getting a medical degree, and not a doctor or anything like that, but looking after all the ICU equipment and everything.
And Dom?
Yeah, so for me, I was actually inspired by a very much a leading lady, and that was my older sister. When I was at primary school, she'd just done her degree and took a year out to become cabin crew for the BA. And what she did is she travelled around the world and she'd send postcards back. And me and my twin brother would proudly take them into school so that we could sort of like get the teacher to read them out and everything. So at that age, that's what I was desperately wanting to do.
How did you end up in the automotive industry? So for me, to be honest, like I said, I've always wanted to be on stage, and in the past I've studied performing arts, so this is completely different, but I've always had a bit of an interest in HR. But how I ended up getting in the automotive industry was I was approached by an agency, and I just never really thought about it really, and I've I've been here 7.5 years, as I said, and I've never looked really back. It's been great. I've learned so much. So how did you end up getting in the automotive industry, Jackie? So I know you said you had the interest with obviously your dad's company and everything else.
Yeah.
But how did you actually get into it?
I wasn't actually looking to go into the automotive industry at all. I studied at college. I studied accounting, because that's just the route I ended up. I really didn't know what to do when I left school, so I ended up at college doing a BTEC National Diploma in Business and Finance, and all the different options. You did law, banking, accounting, all sorts, and I really fell in love with accounting. So I was like, okay, so I did that, and I come out and I was just looking for an accountancy job. And the agency rang me up and they said, yeah, we've got this one, automotive industry. Never even thought about going into the automotive industry. Come and had the job interview, and 28 years later, I'm still here.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And Michelle, I know you've mentioned you've got a love of cars anyway, and it was because of your brother that you got into it, and that's how you wanted to progress, and you went to college to study motor vehicle engineering. So is that really your main passion? Would you say that was just, you knew from the start that you wanted to get into the automotive, and that was it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
From the very first moment that my brother bought his car, I'm like, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for women actually being in a workshop. And I spent a bit of time with BMW as just sort of work experience. I don't even know if they do that anymore, work experience. But I spent 2 weeks there, and I tried to get an apprenticeship out of it. And they did have a female in the workshop, but they were like, no, we've got enough women. It was difficult back in it. And I used to live in Yorkshire, I moved to London, and a friend of mine kind of helped me, because I was there on my own, 19, no real direction. And she helped me reach out to some dealerships, and I got my first job when I was 19 as a trainee service advisor.
It's just crazy to think, how it was from your experience, how you've seen it progress from when you very first started, to now. And it's just crazy to think that you were turned down just because you were a woman, Yeah,
and there was already a woman, and it's like, oh no, we've done our bit for society.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pleased. It's massively changed since then. And it's, it forever is changing, isn't it? Which is great.
Yeah.
Claire, I know you had a bit of a background in retail. So how did you end up getting into the automotive industry?
So I was just looking for a part-time job, really. Then I just came across a part-time, I think it was advertised as like a customer advisor role. And so I applied for it, and then it just sort of went from there, really. And then I always said, it was quite funny, I always said, no, I never, ever, ever want to be an after sales manager. It looks really stressful. It's too much hard. It's too much. And then I just sort of like naturally progressed through the ranks. So yeah, for me, it was just not that it was even this industry. It was just more that, oh, that was a part-time job. That's what I wanted to do. And then I just sort of went from there, really.
Which is brilliant, isn't
That's
it?
it. 7 years later, I'm still here. And I'm not part-time. I'm definitely full-time, 100%.
That's great. And Adrian?
So like I said, I was temping at Kingston, looking just for something to occupy my time, basically, while I looked for a permanent job. And the after sales manager there wanted me to be a part-time service advisor, but I couldn't really afford to go part-time. I needed something full-time, and he suggested that there was a temp job at the accounts department. I got the job, and then someone in purchase ledger left, and it was just a natural thing. Someone in purchase ledger left, and I said, yes, I'll have a permanent job, thank you. And went from there. So and I've never looked back. And obviously I've been with the company now for 16 years.
Dom, how did you end up getting into the automotive industry? So I know you've been in the automotive industry for quite some time, haven't you?
So now what I'm going to really show you my age. So when I did my A levels, I originally was wanting to go on and sort of like become a teacher. But at the time, I wasn't quite ready to go to uni, so I took a year out, and I went and covered someone's maternity leave at the magistrates' court. And I actually really enjoyed it, made some amazing friends and everything. And I stayed there for 5 years. However, what I did is I basically saw an advertisement for Daewoo cars that were just launching in the UK, and they were looking for people that didn't have automotive industry experience. So on a whim, I went and applied for it, thinking, oh, I'm never going to get it. And lo and behold, I got a job working as a customer advisor. So that's sort of in the sales part of the business, and that's how I started.
And what would you say it's like to work in the automotive industry as a woman? Would you say you're treated any differently at all?
Well, obviously, I am showing my old age now. I started obviously 28 years ago, and it was very, very different then. I got promoted from trainee accountant to accountant within 4 years. There was not a single female accountant. You were treated differently because you were the very, very minority. But as times change and, things move on, it's so many more women now. It's great. I was privileged enough many years ago when I first became accountant to go on the Institute of Full Dealer Accountants trips abroad. I went to some lovely places like the Bahamas, Arizona.
Very lucky.
Yeah. New York.
Beautiful.
Did some really good trips. Nowadays we're 50-50 on the accounting side of female to male. So
just brilliant. Yeah, definitely in the right direction.
That direction.
And Claire, what do you feel like you're treated especially with your position, being after sales manager, do you feel like you're treated any differently, or would you just being a woman, or do you feel like you're treated fairly equally?
Guys here are very respectful, I would say. So I do think things have changed, and I do think you're more accepted now, or we're more accepted going into like the higher roles. I think it's becoming more of a acceptance that women are going into things like this role, like after sales, and and I know that the company's working towards wanting sort of females in the general managers positions, because currently there isn't any, but it is getting better. And and obviously TrustFord is working really hard to to change that and improve on that. You've got some technicians here that not just here but throughout the company that have been doing this job 20 years and they've never had a female manager ever. And it's different for them. It took them a bit of getting used to, but then you'll get comments off them now and they'll go, "We love you as our boss, you're one of the best I've ever had, like I can just come and talk to you." And it's like, oh right, yeah, I didn't feel like I used to be able to talk to him because he was a guy. So I do think you build a better relationship up with him as well, because and like say, but you just need to make sure that you stand in your ground 100%, otherwise definitely. But I do think the leading ladies has helped, because I can't remember, you said it before, I always forget what it is.
Imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome.
And it was really nice to hear the other ladies on the leading ladies, and especially like coming from someone like Sharon, I would never have thought that, not in a million years. And I thought that was really good that she was so open about that. And some of the other ladies have been open, and in the group that we've got, and people talking about that, because I used to feel like that, and even now sometimes I get it and I'm like, oh, I'm no good at this. But then I read the messages, or like the other day I flicked back and I was reading it, and then it's just nice that you can sort of go back to it, and then it's quite positive. And people say, oh, no, it's fine, you are. And I'm just looking, not that I put anything on there, because I'm not that confident, I'll be honest with you, ladies, I'm not to put stuff like that. So it's nice to see you all talking. I'm like, all right, okay, let's go again.
There's a lot of confidence you coming on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think you've got more confidence than you think.
Maybe.
I remember when I first went into the role that was in sales, and from a working colleague's point of view, there was absolutely no problems at all. But on reflection, I know that customers used to sort of like be a bit like, oh, you're a woman? I'll go and ask that man over there because he'll know more about cars than you do. And then from there, I went into a sales admin role, and then I went into to an IT role. And it's whilst I was in the IT role, especially in the early days, when we were putting people onto Carriage Rev 7 at the time, and we went on to Rev 8 and everything.
Way back when.
So again, showing my age. You'd have to go into meetings, and you'd be sort of like discussing the changes with department heads and things. And I can remember at the time feeling that I had to try and prove myself all the time, because of you came up against an awful lot of opposition. And again, I don't know whether it's to do with my age, whether people were nervous about the system changing, or whether it's to do with my gender. I really don't know. But it took a long time for me to feel confident in what I was saying, and sort of like being able to stand my ground. Now, again, I don't know whether it's down to the fact that I've got the experience now and everything, but I would say probably within the last 15 years or so, I think the fact that I'm a woman has made not a blind bit of difference to any of the ways that I've been treated within the role and everything. So it is very, very positive now for me.
Currently, do you feel you get the same opportunities to develop and progress? And that's within your job role now in the present day. I'll start with you, Jackie.
Yeah, absolutely. From obviously we've talked about years gone by. Now, absolutely, 100%, definitely, I could do what I want, and that's great. And the support is there, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, in my personal experience, I think there is the same opportunities, and I think that just generally as a person, male or female, if you've got a good work ethic and a good leader, will always give you opportunities regardless of who you are.
Yeah, definitely. Claire, do you feel that you've still got the same opportunities to progress?
Yeah, definitely. I think that if you want to, then you can do. TrustFord have now brought in, Michelle will know quite a bit of this in training, to speak to Mike about about it, and they're starting to put in sort of development paths and that you can go down, and the things that you can do and work around.
Yeah, no, I agree with Claire. Like, I was looking at my progression the other day, actually, weirdly enough, because I'm sort of looking at it going, do I want to be an FC? You know, there's not a load of like space for, there's not a load of FCs, so it's like, you know, what do I do? And so I sort of broached the idea that I might want to become a GM. But I sort of looked at it and thought, you know what, I do cover sometimes when the GM goes on holiday, so I know I can do the job. But the thing that worries me is the fact that I've got 2 kids at home, and being a GM, depending on where. So say, for example, I became the GM of the Channel Islands, that requires me to be in the Channel Islands for 4 days a week. Well, I've got kids. Like, I don't want to go and stay in the Channel Islands for 4 days a week. So it's kind of, it's whether or not we can look at it, you know, and see, you know, what the opportunities are. But it's great that we seem to be looking at the flexible working piece. I'm just not sure that, are we looking at the flexible working piece for like a GM's role?
So there's so many more benefits to being flexible. It promotes a well-being, a healthy work-life balance, which is to do with our PPA. You know, it just reduces stress and turnout, but ultimately it's a proven fact to retain people, and that's what we want. We don't want to lose anyone, and if we can retain the best people, then we should. So yeah, in theory, it shouldn't matter really, whatever role it is. If we can get 2 of you ultimately to do the same role, then there shouldn't be any difference. So there shouldn't really be any reason why you wouldn't be able to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, and it's just nice to know that we're looking at that, because obviously, ultimately, that's what I would like to do. And I know that there's potentially GM roles on the mainland, but just looking at it from my point of view, I was sort of looking at it going, how do I balance it? Like, at the moment, I balance it fine. But if I took a step up, would I be able to balance it with the traveling that's needed, etc.? And it's just nice to know that we are looking at it for all roles, not just you know, all senior roles as well. So that's good to know.
Yeah, so for me personally, 100%, I do feel that the only thing that would hold me back now is myself, because I think everything else is in place now. I've got a manager who's really, really strong and supportive, and will sort of like let me sort of like thrive and you know, spread my wings and things like that, and do what I need to do to help myself. Also with this Leading Ladies initiative from the leadership Future Leaders program through to the mentoringship program as well. All of it is sort of like is almost like the stars have started to align finally. And everything is sort of like, people are finally putting their money where the mouth is, and the opportunity is definitely there now.
I know we touched on this a little bit, but are you able to balance home life and work life if you're a working mum? So I know we have kind of gone off and we've touched on it a little bit, but we'll start with you, Jackie.
Definitely now. Obviously my kids are now 20 and 16, so they're not really kids anymore. We're now, I mean, I've been working from home, and I've got the opposite problem now. It's not so much being a working mum. I've now got a husband that's very poorly. So now I'm having to look after him. So I have got that work-life balance, and I just hope that if I did go up another grade, as like AJ said, that it could be taken into consideration, because like Adrian, I'd love to be a GM.
It's nice to hear on the call though that like Jackie and Adrian like want to be like a or like move to that, like that like that would be really good.
Definitely
sort of see somebody in those positions. Come on, ladies, there's one going at Erdington. I know there is.
No pressure.
No pressure
I know
now.
it's just men applied. I know it's just men that's applied. So come on, if you want to do it, the opportunity's there, girls.
You could do it together. You could have the flexing job part-time thing.
That's it.
There, Adrian.
You actually could split the job between the pair of you. So, you know, that'd be good.
And Adrian?
In the current role, yes, it's great because I'm working from home most of the time anyway. So my little boy goes to nursery, so he's at nursery from 8 until 5:30. My other half is really good. His work's quite flexible as well, so he does a lot of the dropping off and fetching of the kids. We take it in turns in terms of drop off and pick up my little girl who's at school because her school's literally 5 minutes down the road, so it's lovely. But in terms of the support that we get at the moment, yeah, I have, if I need to do anything with the kids, pop to the school, whatever, it's no issues whatsoever. We're really flexible
That's
around
brilliant.
that, so that's really good.
That's great. And Dom, do you feel like you can balance it?
Yeah, so I've got two stepchildren that are grown up now, they're in their 20s. So it's never really been a big thing for me like it is for a lot of mums. And the culture, especially within IT, has been more towards working from home and only actually going out when it's necessary, which is really good because you get that balance of the interaction with people and you still get to see what's going on. But at the same time, for those people that would avoid that particular role, because it's changed, you can sort of like manage things. So people like people in my team even all of a sudden like they're getting dogs and things like that because it's a different way of working now, and it was like that pre-pandemic, but obviously now for everybody who was more used to going into work every day, they can see just sort of like how productive it can be to work from home as well. So I definitely think that is the future, to make it a lot more inclusive for everybody.
So this is an interesting one. So what would you say is your biggest success whilst being in the automotive industry, Jackie?
Well, obviously, my biggest success was becoming the first female accountant, especially after 4 years of training up as a trainee accountant. I was 23 years old. We didn't have the luxuries in those days of FCs, head of finance. It was straight from accountant to finance director. So, and to achieve that, I mean, I was the second woman manager in the whole of the group.
Michelle, what would you say your biggest success is?
I think it's got to be when I was approached to work directly for a manufacturer. So I'd spent a lot of time in the kind of retail network. I've done pretty much every role there is in after sales. And many years after I'd actually left, when I was doing the more sales role that I had when my son was first born, I was approached by somebody who said, "Oh, we remember you from when you worked at one of the sites. Do you want to come and work in IT? Because you were really good with the people and you were really good with the systems." And that opened up just so many doors. I mean, working directly for a manufacturer, and the job role that I was doing and the quite high level that it was, and the amount of freedom that I had, and consulting with people and going in and advising again. And I definitely had imposter syndrome when I had that job. I literally would kind of finish the day, get in my car and think, wow, is this really my life? So yeah, that's got to be my biggest achievement, is that transition over to kind of job role.
That's brilliant. And Claire, what would you say your biggest success was?
Moving from the part-time role into manager role, and then starting off like in a smaller site and then moving into the site that I've got now. And I think like one of the biggest achievements is, I know the other ladies might not agree, but it's hard to try and get that work-life balance. I think it's a massive achievement to show my daughter that when you work hard, you can have really nice things and you don't have to rely on anybody else. Do you know what I mean? That you've done it all by yourself. And so the two combined are quite big achievements for me, to sort of show my child or daughter, this is, what you can have if you work hard and you keep at it. And to sort of move from that part-time role right up into where I am now.
I think it is just the progression, really, because I didn't plan on becoming an accountant. It kind of happened. And I didn't plan on being in the motor trade either. So it was, for me, it was just a chance opportunity that's worked out. And, you know, I was very career driven at one point, and obviously decided that this accountant is where I needed to be. Otherwise, I wouldn't be an accountant. But um, it's just, it's just a great achievement. I think I probably did it in the same number of years as Jackie did.
And Dom, what would be your biggest success?
Since I've joined TrustFord, what the sort of things that I've always been doing, all of a sudden I'm starting to get the recognition and appreciation for it, which is really, really nice. And I was absolutely bowled over that back in 2019 when I got the Best Newcomer Award. I was like, wow. So that was a really, really lovely thing to happen. So since I've been with the group, though, we've had lots and lots of projects and stuff that we've worked on. But I'd say the biggest achievement, and again, it wasn't just me, it was a collaboration with a lot of people across the group, was when we were able to get the Vista download working for commercial vehicles. And that made a massive difference, because that meant that all these records would now create automatically, rather than somebody having to sit there and individually feed them in. So yeah.
But everyone would have loved you for that. Saved them a lot of time. That's brilliant. And last question, and I think this is a really a good question to ask, actually. What advice would you give to a high school girl or a woman who wants to get into the automotive industry? Start with you, Jackie.
Well, basically, it's not male orientated totally anymore. Believe in yourself and have the attitude that you can do anything. It's, it's a great place to work. It's like a separate family. It's your family at work rather than your family at home. And it's just a fantastic place. Just believe in yourself. You can do it.
I think that it's, don't look at the automotive industry from, that, well, it's cars and it's this and it's that. Claire has quite rightly pointed out, it's not really, is it? It's about communication. It's about, if you can communicate with people, then you can pretty much do anything. So, there's so many areas to it. It's a rewarding industry. There's a long and progressive career. So, if you put the work in, then there are no limits.
I agree with Jackie and Michelle on it. I just think, don't think that it's, coming into this industry, it's just about cars. It is to an extent, but there's so much more to it than that. There is your, all the different roles that you do that everyone on here, is doing at the moment. There's the training roles, IT roles, account roles, HR roles. So, be like open-minded about it. Don't think that you've got to go and sit in an office, because that is not what this industry is about at all. It's very fast-paced. It's different every day. And there is career opportunities, to go into, into different areas of the business. And the thing that I do like about TrustFord is now they're starting to put together all these different training programs. So, you can come in without any experience at all and start off lower down. And there's so many things like training now that you can do to move up and around in the business, especially on cognition with all the elements that we do that Michelle sends out. So again, there's that support there as well. And it's quite, and especially now there is more women in this industry. So why not give it a go?
Brilliant.
To give it a go. You don't need to be a tech. You can be anything you want to be in this industry.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said so far. I would just say, for someone who's looking from the outside in and isn't aware, come and see us. Come visit a dealership. Get someone to show you around. Shadow us for a couple of days. Do you know what I mean? There is loads of opportunity out there, but it might just be that they can't see it because, we're they need to watch, basically. So if they can come in and shadow and have go to the dealerships and spend a couple of days like we do with the apprentices, basically, anyone, we should be able to open that up to anybody who might want a career regardless of their age or anything like that, to come and see, and just show them that it's open to everybody regardless of male, female, whatever, because you can do it. Anyone can.
Exactly, definitely. And Dom?
Right, okay, so I'm echoing what everybody says. The most important thing I would say is go for it. We can all find reasons why we don't think we're suitable, but what some of us lack in confidence, we can certainly make up for in determination and resilience. And so you have to tell yourself you've got just as much right as anybody else.
You all had some really great points there. And I'd just like to finish off by saying that there are many different roles within the automotive industry, including apprenticeship schemes and courses, and you don't necessarily need a degree to join us. So if you've listened to the podcast today and you'd like to be part of our TrustFord family, you can visit our TrustFord careers page and apply online. We really would love to hear from you. On behalf of HR and all at TrustFord, I'd like to thank you, leading ladies, for joining me today. And I'd like to thank everyone for listening to our Leading Ladies podcast. Have a great day.